The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
Tonight, declare the annual meeting of the Lutheran Church of St. Mark is begun. 10:29 if you really want, 10:30.
It's 10:28.
Okay, the first order of business is to read minutes. The agenda items are usually the same as
First page.
first page, which if my thumb worked, I could open. We're going to review the meetings, we're going to review the annual reports, election of council members, which is going to be a discussion, and any other new business, since this is the annual meeting, new business is allowed. Carol, you need to stand by the mic.
Oh, I got my spot already, somebody.
Oh, you didn't give me one.
Congregational budget meeting, January 26th of 2025. Meeting called to order by President Ray Frick, 10:27. No prior minutes to be read. Ray handed out the 2024 and 2025 budget info, 2 agenda items for the meeting. 1 to review last year's 2024 budget, status of assets and income, and discuss expected income and budget for 2025. Linda O. Treasurer said that 2024 spending was down, income was up, especially due to the generous gift of $11,000 from the former Baptist church. Budget deficit was reduced in 2024. Facilities maintenance slightly higher and is expected to be more because of 2025 snow removal. So the line item was increased. Some committee expenses were offset by Thrivent grants. Total assets were up from prior year by $26K, and more prepaid pledges helped, which was $27,000. We used to have a CD and now have a high yield savings account. Distributed $2,000 from the Mission Endowment Fund. Restricted funds were used to pay for attendees to Calumet and pay for Synod benevolence in the third quarter of 2024. Capital funds were used for stained glass repair, boiler repair, exterior painting. Dave Taylor presented the operating income history for past several years. We exceeded $207,000 projected income in 2024, especially due again to the $11K gift from the former Baptist congregation. Pledging was up from 2023. We received $6,000 from Lyman developers. In total, we received over $15,000 beyond what had been expected for 2024. We gained additional benefit from the interest based on a high yield savings account. Dave expressed appreciation to Ronald for stewardship campaign in the face of losing pledging members and unpledged being down from fewer visitors. The expected income for 2025 is $218,000. Question: will community group donations be increased for 2025? And the response was yes. Secretary Substitute Jan Frick made the motion to accept the 2024 budget and income reports. Leslie seconded the motion. Unanimous, all in favor, no abstentions. Linda O. presented the 2025 budget and indicated that it's expected to be up by $20K less than the 2024 due to Pastor Hoffman's departure. The staff will increases effective January 1st and based on a 2.5% pay data trends. Synod benevolence is being increased in recognition of the expected support that St. Mark's will need during the transition. The biggest budget increase is in facility maintenance, again due to higher snow removal expenses being expected. Question: if the budget was adjusted for savings, reduced expenses for supply pastors, then it seems there will be a savings of $15,000 to $20,000. Given this, what would the budget have been if Pastor Hoffman were not leaving? The answer: there would have been a budget deficit of $15,000 and the executive committee had looked at this in December, prior to being aware of Pastor Hoffman's departure. However, overall finances would be sustainable for at least 3 years, given our current assets. Second question, if a new pastor is called this year, then what would the budget be? The answer is we are required to follow Synod guidelines. Question, is the salary set by Synod for an interim pastor? The response is no. It is negotiated with the interim pastor. Our Synod representative, Mark Lingle, will advise us in these negotiations. Last question, can you explain the utilities amount? The response is, it is 5% off of the 2024 actual, even though only $15K was spent in 2024. Linda O made a motion to approve the proposed 2025 budget and income projections. Dave Taylor seconded the motion. All in favor, no opposed, no abstentions. Ray Frick offered a prayer at closing time of 10:57.
Do any known corrections to the minutes as read? Hearing none, I need a motion to accept the minutes as read. Bernie, need a second?
Second.
Who won?
Deb
Deb won. Any more discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There is a sign-up sheet going around. Please make sure you sign it. Annual reports. Everyone has a copy. Those on the Zoom, I should be on the website. Okay, I had an introduction. It's obvious that we're discussing the future of St. Mark. We have committees doing that. Pastor Hoffman has left, so we obviously have no more discussion about it. I guess the good news is that we don't have a money problem this year. The bad news is we have a money problem this year.
See, two things, true at once.
Yeah. So I just encourage you, I mean, we tend to think of ourselves as getting smaller and not, but we're actually doing more mission work than I think I ever remember here. Thanks to Ann Davis, in the last Glastonbury Citizen, I know some of you aren't from Glastonbury, but we had 3 articles. We had the Easter egg hunt with a colored picture. We had the prayer wall with a picture, and we had an article about a May 4th event, which I strongly encourage you to go, because my wife is planning it. But no, I think it'd be really good, and there's posters around town. This would be a good time to invite a friend to church, because it's not a worship service. It might be something your neighbor cares about. Yes,
I'm gonna
ma'am.
highlight that because they gave that presentation at Emmanuel Hartford last year, and it was amazing.
Okay, an amazing presentation.
Yeah. Mighty fortress.
So, if there's any other questions about my report, I sort of mentioned
Okay, the lady back there was trying that, she
Yeah.
couldn't get in.
we had issues with council discussing frankly our future, which would affect Pastor Hoffman in a negative way.
Fortress numbers.
Okay, it's just hard to talk about halftime, closing, meeting someone with different skills. The council really struggled with it, I think. And if anyone on council disagrees with me, but most of us didn't like that discussion. So I think her greatest last gift was she realized in order for us to make a frank decision about our future, she probably had to get out of the way. Okay, and I think she felt her time was done here. And it allows us to discuss all these other options which might have negatively affected her in a way that we can frankly discuss. Okay, so that's just how it was. We're going to talk about the church council realignment when it comes to elect officers to the council, or members of council. So the alternate solutions committee, is Betsy here?
No, she is not. Out of town.
Out of town. Who can speak to that if there's any questions on that? None. Does anyone have any questions about their report? I know, you haven't even read it yet. I know. It's tough. Thanks to most of us procrastinating, Ellen was here, I think, yesterday printing it off, so. One thing that I've done is I said, well, I had a committee that was looking at the alternatives. And one of the things, they had to collect data from the congregation. And sure enough, the cat showed up. So I asked that committee to be the cat committee, they graciously accepted. So that kind of worked out well for us. You want to say anything about the cat? About, I guess what was said in the service. If you haven't done it, please do it. Even if you don't feel you need to do it or should do it. If you're a member, please do it. Long hauls. Long haulers committee. Any questions for that committee?
There could have been an article that was probably two more pages long if I put everything in it that we discussed, but would have been. A big thank you to Ann Davis, Jan, Linda, maybe there's more. They did a whole lot of legwork and phone work and meeting with people in other churches to see what they're doing, how they're managing low attendance, stuff like that. So you can speak to them about who they talked to and what they talked about.
Remember, we're not the only church with low attendance. I mean, there were 5 closures this year in churches in New England City. Yes?
I can't help thinking that Ronald Crotch should pat himself on the back along with the long haulers, or no, from the other committee, because Pastor Mark Lingle was alluding that it would take us longer than you think to get into the cat. And lo and behold, we have 37 cats in, we had a brunch. I'm proud of what our efforts were. I really think that we put the pedal to the metal.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, and Linda and Deb put the cat cafe together.
The cat cafe was cute.
Minister of Music's report. You got any questions for Martin? Are there any tenors here that want to join the choir? Alto, sopranos, or basses?
Oh, tenors.
Yeah.
Tenors. Lend us a tenor.
I've been told to sing tenor or 12 miles away.
My Dottie's not here today. She's with a friend, worshiping music. Most of this report, of course, is just a summary of what was done in the years past. Any questions about that? We'll discuss a little bit about the transition at the end and the new business. Christian Ed, any questions for Jan?
I would just like to make a plug for Sunday evening Bible study starting in the fall. We're going into season 2 of The Chosen. If you've never seen it, or even if you had, very powerful TV series. Please consider coming. It's a great series, and I think everyone so far has really been enjoying it. That's in the fall.
So the Sunday night Bible study is really coming here and watching TV. And then a discussion afterwards. But if you've been afraid of Bible study, it's really an easy way to get into it. And if you do want to join, you can go online and watch season 1. And if you haven't done that, that might really give you the urge to come. Outreach Committee, Elaine, Any questions for Elaine? Anything, comments you want to make?
The only question while we're all together, someone suggested we perhaps invite Concordia this year to our outing, our JB Williams Park outing.
Yes, that's a good
Yes,
idea.
absolutely.
Yes, why not? There's other Lutheran churches in the area too.
It's a big one, but JB Williams Park will fall over.
I was thinking that big one, I was thinking some small ones. All right, we don't have a missions committee chairman. But amazingly, we do a lot of missions work because a lot of the other committees work, fellowship, education. We end up with doing mission work anyway. So Jan, do you have any questions for Jan? Or anything more you want to comment on?
Two things. Pastor Marshausen this morning mentioned about the Mother's Day plant sale. That's coming up in 2 Sundays. And then also I wanted to say that the food that we grow in the garden for MAC that we give to the food pantry, I've been in communication with them. They have a specific list this year, so we're going to be growing slightly different veggies. They seem to have a real hankering for as many peppers of all different types of peppers that we can produce, and we can stop sending them kale. That's not a big thing.
Do I hear a second? Do I hear a second?
But they sent me a list of what people are really interested in. So I'll be putting up for next Sunday, I'll be putting up the plot plan for the garden, showing where we're gonna put the different vegetables that they would like, still more pollinator gardens. We're gonna expand it, and we've actually got a couple of people from the ESL who are very interested in also joining us in the gardening. So we can look forward to that new partnership with them.
But for the mowing teams, there's going to be less to mow.
That's what I keep saying at home.
Jan, I wanted to just thank you for when Ray wrote the opening article in the newsletter. And he inserted your conversation that you had enthusiastically shared all the things that you've been helping with. You know, the committees, behind the scenes, driving backpacks around town, and everything like that. And I just want you to know that it inspired me, and I just printed out the newsletter and folded it in half and put it in my purse to keep looking at that, because I thought that was great that you just said, hey, I got something to say here. This is what we've been doing, and it really, it's great. Thanks so much.
Yes,
All right, so back to the garden, and if we're growing for MAC, maybe we should sort of publicize that, maybe we should make that known. Maybe that should be on the sign out in front, you know, growing greens for MAC or something. I think part of our problem is that people think they know what a church is, and I don't think that's what a church is today. I think we're like so much more, and I think we forget to publicize ourselves or promote ourselves as a different thing other than Sunday morning. Yes.
Or in addition to.
All right, in addition to.
I'm thinking maybe we should look at the signage we have. You might want to change it because I think that would be huge. You know, put themes that we're doing, or you know, welcoming the community, and just having a much larger sign that tells what we're doing and how we're doing it.
You do mean like the permanent sign that's out there, or any
I'm
sign?
just throwing out
Because the
what
permanent
we do.
sign, the town will say, no, it can't be big.
Well, I will go and talk to the people
Go talk to the
that
town.
I can talk to.
But in
There's
the
some people-
meantime, the
the
sign that we
meantime,
have
we
out
can
there, we
use the
can
other one.
use
Exactly, right.
other things
Yep.
other than pithy,
Yeah.
little.
But that's gotten such good response.
It
It
has,
is.
yeah, but in addition to,
Yeah.
we can alternate with
Yeah.
Right,
activities.
right.
What's
Here's
the
our
work we are doing?
mission work.
Here's what we're
We
doing.
don't have to necessarily say it like
Yeah.
that, but
Mm.
I just really think people don't know that.
Well, I would disagree a little because there's a lot in the Glastonbury Citizen.
I know, but
A lot of people in Glastonbury read it, so I would just say that we're trying to,
And I think
the
they're
more
already,
people eyes see that than just to drive by the
I
church.
think the people who read it are already churched.
Pardon?
I think the people who read it are already churched. They're already tucked into a religion.
To it, to.
But reading a sign as you're driving down Crystal Street, unless you're stuck in traffic, isn't very helpful.
Yeah.
You know how many people walk Griswold Street?
no.
From the, yeah, well, a lot of
Okay.
people walk.
I think that's a good
Apartments over
idea,
here.
property,
Up and down.
We'll get a sign.
you get that on the
We'll get a
agenda?
sign, we'll put that on our agenda, we meet in a
Maybe-
week.
I would disagree that
I
most
mean-
people reading it are already church, so I don't know.
I
Okay,
think they're already informed. I think there's a group that we're not reaching, that
okay,
aren't informed.
all right, we'll put
All right,
that,
we're off track.
property,
Well, this just popped into my head, but we're looking for alternative ways, and since the first event that I was invited to go to outside of St. Mark when I came 12 years ago, and it was in the first month, was to go to a gin and tonic event in Hartford because of the malaria connection to mosquito thing. Does anybody remember that?
Oh, yeah, we had one of the
I
mosquitoes.
certainly
and,
do. It was,
I don't think I was invited.
Canute ran that. Canute?
Canute ran that. I didn't know Canute but, so maybe like as a little tangent to that, a small group of us could, and not saying that it's the same group all the time, but could go to happy hours around town and like wear our name tags from St. Mark and just say that we're there and consume a beverage or two, and they might, those are the people that
Sign up
aren't.
for that team.
Sign up for that?
We're in.
Can we get thriving dollars?
To pay for the happy hour or to, okay,
okay, now
whatever.
we've wandered way away.
Well,
They
no,
noted
it's alternative.
the
I don't
church
think
drinks
we-
together.
I
You know-
have one person to speak at a time
Okay.
because I'm missing comments, please.
Jesus came
I think we
to,
kind of have. Yeah, we can keep doing that, right? We've invited all the groups that meet here to come to service. Yeah. But we will keep at it.
Lana?
I was gonna say, that sounded like a far out idea, but I remember when we walked through J.B. Williams Park and we all had our t-shirts on and then we all stopped and sang. People all through the park knew who we were and asked for us, and some people were so we could walk right through them, and it was wonderful.
Is the long hauler committee taking notes?
Oh, of course I am, yeah, we got,
Okay.
we're, have memory that's like a steel trap.
What goes in, never comes out. Huh? Fellowship report. Any questions for Linda? Hearing none. Property committee, yeah? Any questions? I believe the latest news is there's another AA group that wants to meet, huh?
I've had a request for another group that's going to meet on Thursday evenings, very small group, brand new. And, we're hosting for one night. First Church AA group has been displaced for one night because they're having the Holocaust service at their church, so they called. So Wednesday evening, they will be here using the fellowship hall because they have no place else to go. So I was like, see you at the door, I'll let you in.
All right, so again, one of our biggest missions works we do is allow groups to use our church at a discount. Care for Creation, Eleanor, any questions for Eleanor? If you haven't been out to the little garden on the side of the church, please take a chance to do that. Stewardship Committee. Ron, anything else besides we've got a very generous group of people.
Yes. Substantial increase in committed pledges last fall.
One of our biggest successes has been the capital fund. I think when we first came here, when something went wrong, we had to put stuff on the board and ask for special capital monies to be contributed. But this capital fund has just slowly kept growing, and if you notice, we've had some substantial capital projects, like the stained glass windows. That was at $15,000. We had the money, We had to replace stuff for our heating equipment. We had the money. We have to replace the office computer. We have the money. We've been generous in donating on an annual basis that we've been able to build up substantial capital fund. So that's why we haven't heard any of, a lot of that, maybe work being done and how much it costs. It is reported how much we spent in our annual reports. That's been a very big success. Hi, Dave's financial secretary's report is just about the same as you gave in.
Not much left to say other than thank you for meeting your pledges every year. I never have any doubts that that's gonna happen. Whatever pledge number that Ronald and the Stewardship Committee gives to me, we can be assured that we're gonna get that amount received every year. So thank you.
Treasurer's report, Linda seems to wanna see if she has a cruise across the ocean, transatlantic cruise.
Wait a minute, how'd they pay for that?
Don't put that in the minutes.
Oh, it's already in.
She's a treasurer.
I'm not sure a transatlantic cruise across the North Atlantic in April is a great idea. That's another story. You can see again, it's about the same report you saw at the meeting
January.
in January. And, I know there's a capital fund in there. The mission endowment report. Obviously, the stock market last year was good. We withdrew $4,000 because of our grants and because it wasn't reimbursed the year before. And I believe this year we've already drawn 2,700. I'm not sure it's been distributed yet, but has. So again, the generosity and how the stock market went is good. Are there any other questions about the annual report, about what the council's up to, besides the others?
I don't have a question, I just want to make a comment. We were on Zoom last week, and I hadn't been on Zoom since the pandemic, and it was so clear. I think Lee does a wonderful job.
We can't hear you very well.
The annual press at the annual meeting.
I could hear Pastor Krauser's jokes, and it was really, so thank you, Lee, for every week you do that.
Great job.
Yeah, he finally got us all trained. As long as you can start Zoom, we're set. That's the hardest part of it. Election of council members. If you go to page 2, you will see that we do need to re-elect a treasurer. The secretary is open. Carol's done it for 2 extra years already. Worship and Music Committee is open. Property Committee is open, I believe, right? Is that correct? Yeah, we tend to forget. Fellowship Committee, Linda has carried on Missions Committee, we don't have anybody. Member of Yard Youth, we haven't had that in years. Now, if you go to my council realignment,
Page 4.
page 4. Let's take some time. The council authorized a ad hoc committee to take a look at what other councils are like. Other councils are like. We looked at, I think, 4 other Lutheran churches, we have 4 or 5, and ourselves. Okay? There's some things that became very obvious. We have a 15 lay member council. 5 officers, 2 at large, 7 committee chairs. That's 14, right?
It's 14,
Yeah, I think 15, I get confused. The pastor's always a member of the, so he or she is not in this. The typical was from 7 to 9. So our council is big. Other churches had 3 or 4 officers. All right. No other church had a financial secretary as an officer.
Yay.
And the vice president was missing in the churches with 3 officers. No other church required committee chairs to be council members. And that's a really biggie, because a committee chair has a lot to do, and then you throw a councilman on it. Where people are willing to serve on council, but there's no way they want to be a committee chairman. So that's been a really restriction. Terms were all over the place. They ranged from 1 to 3 years, a normal limit of 2 terms. Our practice of 2-year terms with 2-term limit is not outside the norm. The other thing was election of officers, either by council, using an ecclesiastical ballot, or by the congregation as we do it. So the council said, let's see if we can adjust our council. You can eliminate, sorry, Mike, the vice president. So as far as I know, there's been 1 vice president who had to serve as president. And that was yours truly, because of yours truly. I did serve 5 years as president. The council consists of 4 officers, unless Dave wants to be removed. 3 at-large members, and the pastor. I said terms will be for 2 years, and you can serve a total of 3 terms. That's kind of a compromise between a 4-year and a 6-year, you know. Financial secretary and treasurer will have no term limit. What we've been finding is it takes a treasurer 2 or 3 years to get up to snuff, and then we gotta replace her, and it's hard finding a treasurer. A financial secretary currently has no term limits. That was from the day where you didn't want anyone to know how much money was being given. We didn't change the election of the officers by congregational vote. You can use an ecclesiastical ballot if necessary. The other thing is, somewhere along the line, outreach, communications, and missions are kind of running in parallel. Because most of the outreach work we do is mission work. The mission work is outreach work. So we thought we could maybe combine those committees. Now, what's our issue? The Constitution. To change the Constitution requires us to come up with a list of changes, detailed changes, present them to the congregation, get them up to synod for their approval, wait a year, and then approve them. The problem is, well, if you approve them, then you say you don't like them. You know, then you're stuck for another year. So, at the same time, we got maybe a call coming up, we need an official council to give an official vote. We kind of have an out. The out is if someone doesn't get elected, the person serving stays on. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Linda. So what we'd like to do this year, to try it, at least for a few months, is to kind of operate that way. And we can do that because we have 2 officers, 3, I think Dave and I, and Linda, 3 officers. We can have 3, and the secretary, it's 4 officers, and we'll have 3 council members still on. Jan, Elaine, and Betsy will act as at-large. If we need an official vote, the ones that we have not replaced, Deb, yes. Ronald. I think you're up for re-election, aren't you? Yes. We can elect Ron if we want. If he wants to be.
All in favor?
Worship and music, They can remain as official members of council if we need a vote, but for all normal council meetings, we'll try to use a new format. Now, having said that, if there's any objections, if anyone wants to volunteer for any of these nominations, I open up the floor to nominations. And that illustrates the problem with the 14-member council.
What about a volunteer?
Volunteer, they can nominate.
I'll volunteer to continue as property,
Okay.
because I have a team. I would prefer
Right.
not to be called the chair of the team, though. It's just a team.
Yes.
Who's the go-to person?
You can call me. Doesn't mean I'll answer the phone, but you can call me.
So when we
And if she
refer to
doesn't
her,
answer, you can call me. I'd love to
So
call.
the question is, do you want to stay on property or do you want to be elected to council?
I would like to stay on property.
Well, you can do that by doing nothing.
Perfect. I'll just keep doing
so we
nothing.
don't put anything, you stay where you are.
I like that.
Right. So by not electing a replacement, they stay on. Yes, Ellen?
I know it's extra work, but I remember when Lee was president that he used to publish the minutes of the council meetings. And, you know, information is so important, and I think with a smaller council, now there's a smaller group of people who are kind of on the in, you know, and know what's going on, and sometimes it gets disseminated and sometimes it doesn't. So if there could be some vehicle that the rest of us would know, you know,
What's
what kinds of issues are being discussed.
What Ellen sends out on Friday, could they be in there?
Yeah, there's two places. We can put it on the website. The minutes are all, electronic, all Word.
The minutes are done within days of council,
Right.
so they could go to Ellen.
Yeah, they could go to Ellen.
They could go to Ellen within, let's say, within a week for her to publish on Friday.
Now, if there's nothing that we don't want to get out, we could always put them on the website too. What do you guys think?
Where we can get that.
Yeah, I think the website's easier, because then you can get any, you can, if you really want them, you can just go on.
Yeah.
If they want Friday, yeah, there to
Did we
open.
give them to Ellen to do that?
She eventually gets them anyways, because I send her everything.
She doesn't get the minutes until I give them to her.
Yeah. She gets them when she gets the agenda.
Well, not the current minute, not the current.
So we can do that.
Okay, I will give them to,
Good suggestion.
you want to give them to her as soon as we have a council meeting? Because those are not approved minutes yet.
Right.
They
Yeah.
should,
The easiest thing would be to have a permanent place on the website,
Well,
and she can swap documents in and out easy, in case we could have agenda and minutes, and perhaps have the latest, what's most current. To have the agenda up until you have minutes ready, and then
and
she
then
posts the
we
minutes.
could put a corrected minutes if there are such.
The minutes include the agenda.
But you get the agenda several days before you would have
Right.
minutes.
And the minutes really are the agenda with
Notes.
action items and other information added, or whatever was in the agenda is still part of the minutes. That saves her a lot of writing. And that'll be worth doing, I think, this time, because we're trying to get committee to give us the committee report, but they don't have to go to council meeting.
So Lee, would you be creating a specific location on the website?
Easiest thing probably is where the bulletins are, over on the right-hand side,
So then would you?
and the messenger, and then we can just have that says council.
And would you discuss that with Ellen, so she would
Yeah.
have, okay, you have that action.
And then we need to publicize that for a while, you know, even if it's a little note in the bulletin or certainly in the messenger where these can be found.
Yeah, we can do it. Hearing no other nominations, I'd like the secretary to make a motion to nominate Linda Wazinski as treasurer.
secretary, Catherine vote, or Linda
Well,
O.
we gotta have a second.
Second.
Who's second?
Leslie.
Leslie.
Any objections? I ask the secretary to cast one vote for Linda. See, that's what happens if you take transatlantic trip. If anyone else would like to volunteer for any of these, don't hesitate. We are looking for an audit committee volunteer. We need to do an audit. I have 2 members of the committee. Would anyone really feel, would anyone like to step up for that?
It cannot be a council member.
Yes, I know. And here's our issue.
Don't you have to ask for a vote
For what?
for?
Linda O, we didn't get, no, we haven't had that.
Well, the secretary cast one vote. No one for the audit committee, I'll be asking about. New business, transition. We are in negotiations with a licensed lay minister to handle the worship and transition work starting in June after Pastor Krauser finishes. Having a licensed lay minister, most of us don't know what they are, or what they were, or what they do. They're not an ordained minister, so many on council said, this isn't our best first choice. The issue here at this church is if we were booming, we would want a transition pastor, like in the past. All right, handle the worship and all that other stuff. The problem is, our biggest need is to help our committees, all of us, work through this future effort. And the person they identified, he did it at East Hartford, at Faith. He's done another church. He seems to be trained and able to do this. And so the council has basically asked us to make a agreement with him. And that's what we've been working on. I know it's not perfect, but you know, you ask for pastors and there ain't a lot out there these days. I know you all know there's a shortage in the synod. And if we got a transition pastor that's willing to do the services, hold some office hours and do all that, we're not sure whether he'd be worth coming to our committee meetings, which is what this licensed lay minister would do. He would work directly with the long haulers and the alternatives and the council and try to push us where we need to go. So I think the facilitation that he would bring is, I hate to say it, is actually more important than maybe the worship experience. I don't think the worship experience will be that different.
I agree, I tend to agree with that sentiment. I mean, I think we know who we are. I think somebody who's willing to get to know us and tell us, yeah, you thought you were that thing, but you're also this thing,
Yeah.
I think is really positive. And he comes really highly recommended from ordained ministers that we know.
Yeah? Lee. Uh-oh. I can't hear you.
I understand there was an objection to that.
There's an objection, but we're beyond that. No, no, not really.
Because that person was.
So, council members that are here, I'd like to have a Zoom meeting tomorrow night at 7, because we need to approve the covenant. Okay,
I can get these done.
well,
Okay. I got choir rehearsal at 7:30. Can we do 6:30? Is it a little earlier?
yeah, we can do 6:30.
Are you gonna say his name or anything, or is that has to be quiet?
There's a name, but
It's confidential.
confidential until we sign it.
I thought it was just that you hadn't gotten to it.
Oh, the
His
name?
name is John.
Oh.
Narrows it down a lot.
Last thing is gold.
Coincidentally, the guy that was here the other couple of months ago.
So,
Good thing have to be done too, huh?
so that's moving along. Okay, otherwise we don't have much, yes,
Is anybody on the long haulers committee that's part of the council? We have a meeting tomorrow night at 7.
Yeah, but if we start at 6:30, hopefully it would be done by 7.
is that a Zoom meeting?
Yeah, we have a meeting here.
We have a meeting here at 7.
Well, I'll send out a note to council and see what, you know.
Okay,
We just have to vote on it somehow.
Yeah.
And answer some questions that need to be.
Okay.
You doing anything tonight?
Not me, I'm home.
They'll vote tonight?
Yeah, so tonight, you still won't see me on the screen, but my
No, I
voice will be
can't,
there.
I can't do tonight.
Okay,
All right, well, we'll do something.
we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Yep, I'll let you know. All right, is there any questions about transition? I said what I thought you needed to hear. Is there any other? I'm glad I got one agreement with my sentiments. Any other questions, comments? Any other new business? This is an annual meeting, you can bring up a new business item. It's not restricted. Hearing none. I need a motion to close.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Any objections? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any volunteers to lead us in prayer?
I'll do it.
There we
Thank
go.
you. You're welcome.
Dear Father, as we face this next phase here in this community of faith, give us strength, give us patience, guide us, uplift us, and let us put our hands to your work. We ask this in the name of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.